Okay, here we go. First ever emergency alert from the tractor. This is how it's going. I don't know what the acoustics are going to be in here. I guess we're going to find out after this video. I'm in a mad dash to get things together before it pops off. And let me tell you something. There's some very suspicious stuff going on today. Think about this. Ever since this war began, we've been hearing about Vladimir Putin, the nuclear boogeyman. He's going to use tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Over and over again, we've heard Western media pundits warn us about this. And here we are, lo and behold, they are loading the nukes onto Su-25s in Belarus. They're getting ready to coordinate tactical nuclear drills in Russia, the southern part of Russia. Not in some far-off place in Siberia, but right near the front lines, completely surrounding Ukraine. Near Poland, well, 100,000 NATO troops are there. And the White House comes out today, and you know what they say? The United States sees no reason to change the readiness of its nuclear forces against the backdrop of upcoming Russian exercises, according to the Deputy Pentagon spokesperson, Sabrina Singh. What? Think about this. Every single close encounter that we've had, every close brush-in we've had, where it's been to DEFCON 2, we haven't learned about until later on, with the exception of maybe the Cuban Missile Crisis. But every other time, it was only declassified later on. What makes people think that this is going to be any different? I mean, every possible indicator is there. If this was just a drill, if this was a run-of-the-mill exercise, they would be doing it far away from the front lines so not to be provocative. Do you really think Vladimir Putin, who has shown the strategic forbearance that he has up until now, is just out of the blue going to put tactical nukes near the border with Ukraine and do coordinated tactical nuclear drills right now for no reason whatsoever, and that it's no big deal? Do you seriously think we haven't ratcheted up the DEFCON level? People are going to say, well, I don't see any planes in the air on flight radar, so there must not be anything going on. Do not listen to those OSINT guys, man, because there's a reason why it's called OSINT. Because they have no idea what actually is going on. We can ascertain the other side, what they're doing, and from that, we can make inferences on the basis of the evidence that we do have, as circumstantial as it may be, that something here is going on. There is, and I mean, think about it. Last week, Pepe Escobar was talking about how F-35s had nuclear weapons deployed on them, and everyone laughed him out of the room. Here we are, but a week later, a different plane, but actual nukes are being loaded onto that plane. Tell me something ain't going on. And now he's talking about, he projects that they're going to see false flags pretty soon. Guys, you must understand that they're doing everything they possibly can to downplay this, whether that's to minimize public panic or whether that is to just keep the markets flat. The markets were eerily flat today. I'm talking barely off of zero. The markets were holding a zero today in a way that was just scary, like a cat getting ready to pounce. Something big is going on. Why is the United States, who's been harping on about the threat of Russia's using tactical nuclear weapons for so long, now Putin is closer than ever before to doing this very thing with tactical nukes on the border? They've lifted the moratorium on the intermediate nuclear forces. They're now going to start building more of these missiles, and they claim both sides, both the United States and Russia, claim that either side is in violation of that. Something big is happening here, and obviously this has a lot to do with the troop deployments. There's a lot of moving parts here, but I'm telling you, man, my gut that brought me out here, that has me sitting in a frickin' tractor drilling holes in the ground, so that I can do stuff. I'm not going to go into many details, but let's just say we're getting ready to put up some posts and put up some fences and do all that farmer stuff. Something is going on. Now, let's talk about what else is going on. Diplomats being expelled. Somebody had sent me this information on Hotmail. Thank you for sending me the information. Good old Hotmail. I totally date myself, but get a load of this. This one, you know, I didn't even hear about this in the thick of the news. Usually I'm on top of whenever an envoy, a diplomat, an ambassador has been either expelled or has left voluntarily from a country, but this is big. The U.S. ambassador has left Russia. U.S. ambassador to Moscow, Lynn Tracy, has left Russia for a certain period of time, an undisclosed period of time. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said. Is it Rabkov? Rabkov, sorry. This is according to the main Russian media source, TASS. They're more official than Russia Today. So this is the real deal. Why has the U.S. ambassador left Russia? Okay? Now, it could just be something to do with some changeover. Maybe they're changing the ambassador. It's something to do with the Putin inauguration. I don't know. And ambassadors do leave periodically, but this is strange. The Czech Republic has also recalled their ambassador to Russia. Another ambassador has left Russia. And Germany, as well, has recalled their ambassador to Russia over a hacker attack. There's a lot of hacking going on as well. I don't know if I'm going to have time to cover that today. But this is what you would see. People just silently backing out of the room. Now, I'm not saying something is going to happen. But man, if something ever were to happen, nobody could say that there were no signs there. Nobody whatsoever could say that we didn't see the warning signs. And it could possibly be that the reason why they're playing this down is that so when something big and bad does happen, they can say, hey, the boogeyman, completely unprovoked, we weren't doing nothing, right? We're just sitting there minding our own business. And all of a sudden, Vladimir Putin decided to put tactical nukes on Ukraine and use them in Ukraine in some capacity. Who knows what sort of tactical capacity they're going to use them in? Will it be an EMP? Will it be clearing a line so that they can blitzkrieg on through? There's probably 101 different Cold War era strategies that they had schemed and dreamed up in order to use tactical nukes on the battlefield. Who knows? But that's what the headline is going to be. And of course, it's going to be more starkly contrasted to this radio silence than were they to really spook the markets. Because think about this. The media could easily make a big deal about this. And boy, would it be a big deal. Boy, would the markets be spooked. You have everything you need there to do their classic fear-mongering. We have to help the Ukrainians. They're loading tactical nukes. I'm sure these are not duds. I'm sure the video footage that we are seeing, I mean, I don't even have time to show you on the big screen. We're going to get back to that eventually, guys. I promise. It's spring and I'm a farmer now. They're showing video footage of the nukes being put on Belarusian planes. Of course, Belarus probably is going to be the fall guy. They got some kind of deal with Vladimir Putin. Anyways, they might be the ones to pull the trigger just to prevent all-out nuclear war. But they're doing it right before our eyes. They have everything there. The mainstream media has everything there to make this massive, sensational, alarmist story that would capture the attention of the world. So why is there silence? I know I'm a crazy guy in a tractor. I get it. Eazy-E and a redneck had a baby. I get it. Don't take it from me. Just look at the evidence. And I don't even care anymore. Okay? All you trolls out there, there's a reason why you linger around. You're repressed. You're repressed preppers. At this point in time, You're just a repressed prepper. And you just don't like what's coming, so you scapegoat your own people. Anyways, maybe we'll do a psychological profile on those repressed preppers at some point in time. A squadron of upgraded Su-25s is being prepared with tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. I mean, this is crazy. This is madness. Nuclear alert level 2, getting too goofy in the tractor. Maybe there's some weird energy in here. Has been signaled in Belarus. It's important to note that nuclear war is alert level 1. So this is their DEFCON equivalent. And they're currently at nuclear alert level 2. The country's Ministry of Defense announced that nuclear warheads were loaded onto a squadron of Su-25 aircraft, while the Iskander-M and MLRS Polonaise-M ballistic missile units were also armed with nuclear warheads. Pentagon says it's no big deal. Keep buying Bitcoin. It must be said that the inclusion of Belarus in the nuclear alert of the southern military district of Russia took the West by surprise. This is the first time it has happened, as well as the first time Belarus broadcast live the loading of nuclear warheads on these platforms. So you could say it's just posturing, it's just saber-rattling, don't worry. Well, I mean, really, you have to ask yourself this. Okay, if you believe that that's the case, then what is the necessary criteria for you to sufficiently believe that it is problematic? I mean, what is the line that has to be crossed? Do they have to be pointing the nuke? Do they have to be, does a nuke already had to be launched? Will you still be in disbelief? Oh, it's just a decoy. I mean, this is it. This is as close as you could possibly get. This is it. Holy shit, this is it. Unbelievable, man. I'm in disbelief at how close we are. And it's not a drill, folks. This is not a drill. You would do a drill and an exercise, and this would be on brand for the Russians. If this were just an exercise, they would not be doing it and posturing in this way. There's a reason why they're doing it where they're doing it. If they just wanted to posture, they could do that anywhere, and they could broadcast it. And then maybe the mainstream media would talk about it because it wouldn't be a threat, because they want to pump something else. But because it's the real deal, you can bet that they're prepping. They're calling their ambassadors back for undisclosed reasons. In Lithuania, for the first time ever, a curfew will be imposed. What? It will be held on May 7th in Vilnius and Kaunas as part of the exercises of the armed forces of Lithuania and NATO allies. Local residents will be forbidden to be on the streets from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Lithuanian authorities warn that soldiers with weapons and civilian clothes may be... What? Authorities warn that soldiers with weapons in civilian clothes may be on the streets at that time? Nothing's going on. No big deal. Just business as usual. What new Netflix series are on? Oh yeah, and apparently the Crimean Bridge is no longer a threat. Now they're saying, well, looks like the Russians are no longer using it for logistics. So either they're downplaying it because they've realized that they're not going to be able to get through with the ATACMS. I'm sure if they fired enough of them, they would, unless the Russians have a really good smoke screening capability or deterrent capability. Or they're trying to pretend to downplay it, then they're actually going to do it. Because they know that they might not be successful in doing it. But that's very strange. Suddenly, Ukraine actually has the capability to take out, well, according to, the experts, the military experts on the Institute for the Study of War side of the argument, Ukraine is supposed to have the capability to do this, but apparently now, once they have the capability, they no longer need to do it. What a surprise. Now, I got some more information to you, but you should know, this is just a sidebar, and I find this interesting. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, they got more cash. They're holding more cash than ever before. Look at that. Why is Berkshire Hathaway holding more cash than ever before? They held a lot of cash before 2001. They were in a lot of cash before 2008. Then they liquidated that cash, or I guess what's the reverse of liquidation? They bought up a bunch of assets and equities. And they've been building that cash pile ever since 2008. And it dipped because they bought the dip after the crash of, what was it, 2022, when the NASDAQ went down like 50% or something. And now they've been stockpiling again. So you know something's going on. Either that cash that they have is worth less and less, and you got to factor in inflation here, because really that makes sense. Now that I look at this, they had around 2005, I think gold has went up about 400% since the year 2000. And around that time, they had around 50 billion in assets. And now they have around 200 billion. Do they really have more money? Either way, they're in cash right now. Okay. Germany, the German conservatives have voted for compulsory military service. China has hacked the UK Ministry of Defense, and apparently they got information on all of the employees, which is basically everybody. So they hacked the payroll system. The EU is planning to send 90% of the revenues of Russia's frozen assets, so not the frozen assets themselves, but the revenues on the basis of that. They're claiming they're going to send that to Ukraine. I don't know what that's going to amount to. And apparently there was a assassination attempt on Vladimir Zelensky that was broken up today. We don't know much about it, but apparently they were FSB agents. And we just have to take the Ukrainians for their word for it. But I got more information for you here that you're definitely not going to hear anywhere else. And I'm going to do this one in a video format. But a lawyer from Poland who periodically will send me messages, and this is not one you have to take it with a grain of salt, because it's all there for you to see, okay? This one nobody is talking about. And this is only the kind of OSINT that you get when you have local people who are on the ground who kind of catch wind of stuff. But this one is very telling. This is the canary in the coal mine. There are many, but this is another one. 10 days ago, the Government Safety Center, I won't try to pronounce that because it's very difficult and I will totally butcher it, issued short materials on YouTube covering CBRN hazards. Now, I actually first talked about this when they sent me this story about 3 months ago, but apparently the plot has thickened a lot. Each is about 2 minutes long. Also, they post them with official English subtitles as well as Ukrainian subtitles. You can find links at the end of this email, and I'll go into depth about that in a future video, probably tomorrow. What is strange is there is no official notification about that in the main media. No main web portals covered the information. Previous materials are about 1 to 2 year old and are definitely less alarming in nature. So probably more subtle, you know, the usual how to prepare for they might not even use the word nuclear. They'll say something like radiological. They'll try to relate it to nuclear power plants as opposed to nuclear weapons, right? It looks as though they are either silently staging the ground, and this is, English isn't his first language, okay? So just bear with me here. It looks like they're either silently preparing the ground for a wider campaign, or they're putting it there so that they could say all the info is available to citizens. And we've seen this happen time and time again with the Nuclear PSA, the half-assed attempts at public service announcements to inform the public about what to do in the case of a nuclear incident. We've seen this put out there just so they can say, well, we tried to warn you. We told you you should have 72 hours worth of food to prepare for the end of days. That's all you needed to do. It looks like they're either silently staging the ground for a wider campaign, or they're putting it there so they could say that all the info was available to citizens, and we told you so. What is clear is that they're trying their best to keep it as low profile as possible. In my honest opinion, he believes, and this is a very educated person, he's a lawyer after all, It's to avoid panic. And I know somebody has a joke about that, but let's just keep that to ourselves. Because even though media try to downplay it, more and more people keep talking about a possible war with Russia, of course, especially in Poland. And now for something really strange, okay? The Polish educational film studio realized old materials from the 1960s about nuclear attacks. These materials were revitalized, added English subtitles, and uploaded on YouTube in a series called Polish Fallout. First uploaded 3 weeks ago, about radiation dust and how to act in case of fallout pollution. The film was listed as Part 1. Next, 7 days ago, they published a material, railway station in the face of a nuclear explosion. This is listed as Part 2, and just today they uploaded Part 3 about a rescue operation after a nuclear explosion. So they're releasing all this stuff, all this information on what to do in the case of a nuclear attack, but they're not publicizing it. I have to presume that the majority of the Polish population, based on what this guy's saying, don't know that this has been released yet. Emphasis on yet. What is even stranger is that I keep track of the RCB site and Polish news coverage. RCB, of course, Government Safety Center, okay, just to clarify. But found out the RCB materials on YouTube and CBRN Thets's recommendations from the WFO that I stumbled on today. I don't know if I can go that far, but it almost look like these materials are connected. Anyways, the cherry on top is that on April 25th, there was a seminar called Counteractions to CBRN Threats that was organized for Polish police force and firefighters. Important note, among the trained personnel were Polish soldiers from Special Forces units, including the Commando unit from the Lublinek, and I presume that's like one of their main Special Forces units. Only mention about this training is from the Firefighter Academy that organized this seminar. To be honest, I feel like the politicians in Poland are doing their best to keep the attention of the masses away from the threat of possible war. Yet more and more people, both my private friends and my clients, talk more and more about a possible war. Not a question of could it happen, but more of a question of will we know when it is going to start? They're not going to tell us. Also, I learned, just look at it. The complete opposite is true. When they're saying, the classic example, when they're saying that something is going to happen, then probably nothing is going to happen. When they're saying it isn't, that's when you run. Also, I learned that more influential people are building bunkers on their private properties, and some of them, including a TV station owner, have started to intensify their preps in the late summer of 2023. Here I am in a tractor on a homestead. And they are doing so in secret, officially as home renovations. That's actually kind of smart. This could explain why the main media, and before people are like, I can geolocate you on the basis of that tree back there. There are trillions of trees in Canada. Most are probably going to burn down this year, but good luck with that. This could happen why the main media is keeping the line with the government. The media CEOs know more and more, so they could prepare themselves and keep the population in check. The government is definitely prepping the infrastructure for the SHTF, and this is a very bad sign because here our politicians don't anticipate, they react. That's pretty much everywhere, my friend. And this means that they know that the crapometer is about to go off scale in a huge crapnado. It's a good metaphor for somebody who's not a native English speaker. And this is why they are rushing to do any actions as possible to avoid panic. Exactly, it's all about avoiding panic. This is the exact same playbook we've seen in Ukraine, guys, where they can persistently said that there's nothing bad that's going to happen. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Oh, something happened. It's martial law. You can't leave the country. Go to the front lines and die for your country. That's a democracy, folks. Keep prepping. It's coming.